Rex Ryan has a problem, but you know the haters is always gonna have a problem when
it get dangerous.
That dangerous.
It's your boy John the Liquidator coming back with another video. So it looked like Shedeur Sanders has shut down the internet. This time it's involving young kids as he makes his rounds to a youth camp hosted by the Cleveland Browns. Now we know Shedeur Sanders is a few weeks out from this battle.
Rex Ryan is mad again. Not at a loss, not at a bad throw. He is mad because Shedeur Sanders hosted a youth football camp. Over 500 kids showed up in Cleveland, and instead of talking about that, one of the loudest voices in football took to Twitter and called it dangerous. Dangerous. A camp full of kids running routes and laughing and falling over each other in excitement somehow got labeled a problem. Meanwhile, the video of it is spreading everywhere, other outlets are picking it up, and the internet cannot stop talking about it. So today, we are breaking down exactly what happened at that camp, exactly what Rex Ryan said, and why this whole thing says way more about him than it does about Shedeur. Let's start with what actually happened, because it matters. This camp came just days after Shedeur had already been grinding through a full team workout with the entire Cleveland Browns roster, Deshaun Watson included, alongside the young receiver group. So he is not fresh off a vacation showing up for a photo op. He goes straight from practice reps with his own quarterback competition into hosting kids. The footage from the camp shows kids sprinting to get in line, cheering, practically tripping over each other just to get close to him. That is not staged energy. That is real excitement from real families who showed up. And it is not just one channel covering this. Another creator tracking the story separately confirmed the footage was already circulating, with campers being called out group by group to run drills on the field, and pointed out that even local Cleveland reporters were picking up pieces of it. So this was not some small backyard event. This was a full production with hundreds of kids on the field at once, and it was big enough that multiple outlets were already talking about it before Rex Ryan ever opened his mouth. Back on the ground at the camp, Shedeur was asked directly about the quarterback competition with Watson, since reporters were there anyway. His answer was calm. He said they are both just trying to be the best versions of themselves, that there is a real level of respect in that quarterback room, and that neither of them gets emotional about things they cannot control. He said the focus is simply on getting better every single day. That is the same guy who just spent his morning throwing routes to 5-year-olds and taking selfies with families. So while one channel is showing kids losing their minds with joy on a football field, another is confirming the story is spreading fast enough that it's becoming a genuine viral moment across football media. Two completely different angles, same conclusion. This was a good day. A guy who just competed against NFL caliber talent all week turned around and gave his time to kids who will probably remember it forever.
Get a load of this kid. This is Rex Ryan. This is actually Rex Ryan's. This is his account. This is Rex Ryan's Twitter account. 19 hours ago, Shedeur had been doing nothing but working out with his teammates and giving back to young kids, hosting a camp for young kids. He does all of that, and Rex Ryan still has a problem.
So genuinely, what exactly is dangerous here? A guy showing up for kids? Let's keep going, because it gets worse. Here is where it turns from odd to genuinely frustrating. While the camp story was picking up steam online with campers being funneled through drill stations and the footage getting shared across different channels, the reaction from inside football media was mostly positive. People who watched OTAs, people who have talked to coaches, people close to the building were already saying good things about how Shedeur has carried himself this offseason. Even Todd Monken, the head coach, has reportedly been complimentary of how he has approached the job. Then, Rex Ryan decided the story of the week should be about how a youth football camp is dangerous. Not a fine, not a suspension, not a lawsuit, a camp. Over 500 kids running drills in Cleveland with a franchise quarterback giving him his actual time. Meanwhile, the same week this was happening, the broader storyline around the Browns quarterback room was still developing. One breakdown of the situation pointed out that the front office has talked about the team having enough talent to win more games than they did last year, and that expectations for this season are not small. That is the backdrop Shedeur is operating in. Real competition, real pressure, real expectations from ownership. And somehow, hosting kids for an afternoon is the thing that gets flagged as a problem. It is worth saying plainly, The guy breaking down the camp reaction on the ground made a simple point. People do not understand how positive Shedeur has been for kids specifically. Pure stuff. Genuine stuff. And right now, love him or not, he is one of the most talked about young players in the entire league. That combination, being polarizing and being genuinely good with kids at the same time, seems to be exactly what is triggering people like Rex Ryan.
So Shedeur Sanders pulled up to this event, and let's roll.
10 to center field. Groups 11 and 12. The center field, 11 and 12. Campers in groups 11 and 12. 10 to center.
Now, there is more footage. I think Mary Kay dropped some stuff on this.
Groups 11 and 12. The center field, 11 and 12. Campers in groups.
So, yeah, Shedeur Sanders is making his rounds now. Just like I stated, there is an update on his current situation a little bit. 92 The Fan spoke about it, I believe, earlier today.
Rex Ryan did not get mad because it was dangerous. He got mad because it worked. Let's actually put Rex Ryan's words on screen because you need to hear exactly what he said. 19 hours before that clip, Shedeur had been doing nothing but working out with his teammates and giving back to kids by hosting that camp. That is it. That is the entire chain of events. And after all of that, Rex Ryan still found a way to have a problem with him. One channel covering this did not hold back in response, and honestly, it is hard to argue with the logic. The point made was blunt. You can build a whole career and make real money hating on a guy who is out here hosting free football camps for kids that nobody asked him to run. Over 500 of them showed up. That is not a small crowd. That is a franchise quarterback pulling actual numbers on an off day for free for kids. At the same time, the coverage of the camp footage from a separate source kept circling back to how big this thing actually was on the ground. Groups of campers getting funneled through stations, the event clearly organized at scale, not some small pop-up appearance. 2 sources, 2 angles, same picture. This was a real event with real turnout, and it became a story anyway, just not the story it should have been. The frustrating part is how familiar this pattern is. Remember last season when Shedeur was getting criticized before he even started a game? People questioned his character before he had done anything to deserve it. Now he has done something genuinely good on his own time, and the criticism just shifted targets instead of stopping. The complaint was never really about football. It is always then about the noise Shedeur brings just by existing.
Argue, oh, why do you make Shedeur content first? Shedeur. And then 2, he's the biggest story in football. Let me quote Shedeur when I say this. He is the algorithm. And you can make a lot of money talking nasty on him. You can make a lot of money hating on a man who's hosting youth football camps when nobody asked him to.
While Rex Ryan tweets, Shedeur is still fighting for a starting job. Let's talk about that part. Because here's the thing people keep forgetting in the middle of all this camp drama. Shedeur is not just out here doing community events for fun with nothing else going on. He is in the middle of a real quarterback competition against Deshaun Watson, and the stakes around that competition are only getting bigger. One breakdown of the front office's comments pointed out that both Andrew Berry and Jimmy Haslam said back in January that they believed this roster could have won more games than it did, which tells you the expectations this season are not small talk. 7 or 8 wins has been floated as realistic. So while Rex Ryan is spending his energy on a youth camp, Shedeur is spending his on trying to win a starting job on a team that ownership expects to compete. That same reporting noted that people who were actually at OTAs, coaches included, walked away impressed. That is not a small detail. That is the difference between outside noise and what is actually happening inside the building. Back on the camp side, the point kept coming back to the same idea. Nobody is claiming Shedeur is a perfect role model who solves every problem in football. That is not the argument. The argument is that out of all the role models currently in the NFL, showing up for hundreds of kids on your own time while also grinding through a legitimate quarterback battle should put you near the top of that list, not in a Twitter fight over whether a football camp is dangerous. And that is really what makes this whole story land the way it does. This was never actually about safety or danger. It was about a guy who is polarizing enough that even something as harmless as a kids' camp becomes a headline. The competition on the field is still happening, the camp still happened, and somehow only one of those things needed defending this week.
Well, he did say, that he believed that there will be an opportunity to compete for this team, and that a 7 to 8 win season for the Browns is realistic. And to me, I think it's realistic as well. And I know some people don't really want to touch that or doesn't look at it like the wins should be the focal point. But you got to keep in mind that what both Andrew Berry and Jimmy Haslam said in January of this calendar year, that they felt like they still had a good enough roster to where they could have won more games than what they did. And I think if winning was not the top priority, they would have went with a young guy like a Udinski or a Shieldhouse. But they went with an experienced guy in Todd Monken, granted, first-year head coach, but a lot of football experience.
2 storylines, same week. A camp full of kids and a quarterback battle that actually decides his career. Only one of them made Rex Ryan mad. So let's recap what we actually know here. Shedeur Sanders hosted a youth football camp in Cleveland with over 500 kids in attendance, days after finishing a full-team workout that included his own quarterback competition with Deshaun Watson. The footage shows genuine excitement from campers, and it spread fast enough that more than one outlet was covering it independently before this even became a bigger story. Then Rex Ryan tweeted that the camp was dangerous, 19 hours after Shedeur had done nothing but work out with his team and give back to kids. No context, no explanation that actually holds up. Just a problem, out of nowhere, aimed at a guy who spent his day off giving free coaching to hundreds of kids. And underneath all of it, the actual football stakes have not gone anywhere. The quarterback competition is still live, the front office still expects real wins this season, and Shedeur still has to go earn the job on the field, not on Twitter. At the end of the day, you can call a lot of things debatable about Shedeur Sanders, his accuracy, his decision-making, whether he wins the job outright. But calling a free camp for 500 kids dangerous is not a football opinion. It is just noise. So here is the real question. Do you think Rex Ryan actually believes what he tweeted, or is this just about staying relevant off of Shedeur's name? Drop your answer in the comments, smash like, and subscribe.